Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Audio versions of the show are available through Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff, wherever you pick up your audio podcast. And if you'd like to contact the show, you've got us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the_upper_tier. Joining me tonight, two not so familiar faces in terms of the upper tier, but very familiar faces in terms of the network. The two boys, co-hosts from Retrotainment. Ted, how we doing?
Not too bad here. Yeah, just watched England get knocked out on penalties there by Germany. Gareth Southgate, he'll never get near another English team again in his life, I'm telling you now.
Yeah, just as well. The English fans are happy tonight. They're not ripping the seats out and wrecking the place, no?
Yeah.
Not again.
Also joining us tonight, Greg. How we doing, Greg?
What's happening, homie?
Good to have you on. Absolutely. Greg, is this your first time on the upper tier or second?
First.
Excellent. Great to have you on. Cheers for coming on anyway.
Been waiting for the right time to come on.
I've been abandoned by my crew since international start. Since the season ended, these lads have all gone into hibernation. They hate it.
I don't blame them. I don't know.
I wasn't really looking forward to the summer, but now I'm actually enjoying the tournament. I've actually sort of warmed to it, believe it or not. Even though we're not in it.
It's gotten better as the games have gone on. Some of the games that you look at, you're like, oh, that's going to be terrible. There hasn't been very many bad games.
Yeah. Kind of once the rubbish teams like Portugal, France, and Germany where it gets interesting, doesn't it?
Dirt. Dirt. Simple as that. Dirt.
Absolutely. We'll run down through the round of 16 first because it was fairly interesting. Wales nil, Denmark 4. How disappointing were Wales? And I know like the expectation wasn't huge either, like because it's really the Gareth Bale show, to be honest. But God, they were awful, weren't they, all through the tournament in theory?
Apart from that game against Turkey, they were average at best. Gareth Bale is, without a doubt, one of the biggest wastes of talent you'll ever see in your life.
He's probably one of the most hopeful professional golfers playing football at the moment, is he? I'd probably say.
Apparently he plays off scratch, and he's got to try and make it on the Pro Tour.
Yeah, I think that's where he should be anyway.
It's where he wants to be. He has no interest in football.
No, for sure. Look at that. Look at the work you have to do as a golfer is not nearly as strenuous. And well, I'm not saying that they're not fit and all the work they have to do, but it's not nearly as strenuous as being a professional footballer.
Yeah, it's easier just relying on a caddy than it is to be relying on 10 other lads.
Yeah. Especially when you look at 10 other lads and Gunter, Rondon, and somebody else are playing centre half.
Yeah, absolutely. Italy 2, Austria 1. The Italians made hard work of it, didn't they?
This was the worst performance they had. They looked slow and leggy to be the thing. I was surprised. Like I knew they'd bring Verratti back in once he's fit because he's just immense. But leaving Locatelli out was a strange one.
I don't know if they made it look more difficult than it was. I think they were unlucky a lot of the time. Like Immobile should have had 2 or 3 in that game, like hitting the crossbar and hitting the post and stuff. Like I think there was a little bit of unluckiness on their part to not have had that comfortably sewn up.
I think that was goal of the tournament, that volley if it went in.
That finish for Arnautovic as well. That header was class. He was so brilliant. Unlucky, like, you know what I mean?
But like, there has to be some kind of advantage. Like, what was his head offside as he was leaning forward, or his arm or something?
I don't know whether they can award goals for bravery, can they?
Yeah, he deserves it because he looked like he was going to get clattered.
Yeah, maybe they should. Then we got the upset of the round at that stage anyway. Netherlands 0, Czech Republic 2. This was the Netherlands. This was so strange. The Ligt getting sent off. It's just crazy.
This is the Netherlands all over. That game defines them as how well they played and then just implode. I think it was Damien Duff said it. He says he's just waiting for them to implode and start fighting with each other before the game. But you have to wonder, like, as a young fella, whatever, playing football, I don't know whether you play football or not, you're told never let the ball bounce. And what does the Ligt do? He lets it bounce over his head and then tries to fall on it. Like, to be fair, it was just crazy. It was a moment of craziness.
I don't know if there's
kind of
been
summed
such
up
a
his season, didn't it?
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. I don't know if there's ever been such a fall from grace for a player so quickly. Like he went from being the most
Golden boy.
most sought after centre back in the world when he was at Ajax to not really playing much for Juventus, and now not even spoken about.
Yeah, he's not even. They don't have any time for him really at Juve. Sure, they don't. There's
Well,
talk coming out about his clothes and all sorts of stuff that he dresses basically like a tramp.
He's probably not even third strength. They have that Turkish defender, don't they? Demirbay, or the fellow that played centre back during this. He's in behind Bonucci and Chiellini.
Yeah.
But those two are just phenomenal together.
They are, but you'd be expecting, he was the most sought after centre back at the time. You'd expect him to be coming in and to be taking the spot off one of those lads, and he's not even close to doing it. He just went from hero to nothing so quickly, and then this, like getting sent off for the Netherlands.
Yeah, that changed the game. The man Schick looks good though, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Schick looks all right.
He looks a player, yeah, absolutely.
Put a price tag on his own head anyway.
He's just big and awkward as well, isn't he? So he's impossible to kind of mark and control,
Well, his finish against Scotland from just inside the halfway line was fierce tidy.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Belgium versus Portugal, which was kind of one of the toys of the round. Belgium winning 1-0. I don't know. Portugal just couldn't seem to find some sort of a rhythm or something. Sure, they couldn't. They just couldn't. Looking at the game, and Lukaku was. I don't know what's happened to Lukaku since he went to Italy. He's absolutely outstanding. Like, he's just unbelievable. Even his close control and everything when the balls fed into him. Remember when he was at United, he used to play balls into him. They just bounce off like a trampoline.
That was
unbelievable.
Craziness. But even when he was playing with United and they were doing that, as soon as he went to Belgium, they were sticking for him. He's been a monster for Belgium since he was about 18. When he was at Anderlecht, I think he played his first game. But he's just been immense. Belgium looked good in the first two games. First game and a half, they were poor in the first half against Denmark. Played well then, come back and win. Won easy the next game. This one was a bit tougher for them. This was a dogfight. Like Portugal had 22 shots or something, and just couldn't break them down. Alderweireld and Vertonghen were brilliant. But Boyata as well. He was at Celtic for a little while, and he looked dirt there, but he's certainly playing well now.
Yeah, certainly it was a very different Toby that was be at Spurs anyway. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think like it looks bad that Portugal went out, kind of, but this is a team. When you look at that team, look at the names on that team sheet, you're thinking they should be making it to the quarterfinals easily, semi-finals. Like, you're looking at that team and you're thinking they should be getting somewhere.
Unfortunate draw.
I mean, you come up against a team like Belgium, who are currently the number one ranked team in the world, which I still don't understand how they're number one ranked in the world, because who's the last Euros winners and who's the last World Cup winners? Neither of them are them. So I don't understand how you get to be world number one. Like, that makes no sense to me, but it is what it is. But like, coming up against them, a big team was getting knocked out here, and unfortunately for Portugal, that they're the ones, and it was a monster strike as well. Like that put them out. To be fair, like, that's got like that could be goal of the tournament, especially for how important it was. Like, that wasn't anyone was expecting that to be what won that game. I don't think.
It's a shame that the draw sort of worked its way out to be so lopsided, really, isn't it?
Oh, it's dreadful. Like, you could have put, if you had two of the other teams, say Spain and I don't know, France or whatever on the other side, like, it would have think like everything is lined up for England at the minute to at least make the final.
Yeah, absolutely. Which normally isn't surprising, but they just always fall short. It's not unusual.
It's great. It's great.
I mean, it happened in 2018 as well. It was lopsided for them as well, and they made a bags of it. Croatia 3, Spain 5. I'm not too sure on this one. I didn't expect this from Spain at all. I looked at Spain in the first couple of games, and I was thinking, what's Enrique doing? Who are the players that he's picking? I just couldn't understand it. I looked at Pedri and I was thinking, you're relying on this young lad to do the business there. I know Busquets is in there, but he's more a sort of like
he's a breaker.
He barely leaves 20 yards of a circle really at times, But Pedri's all over the pitch. But like when you've Thiago on the bench and then you've Morata up front, now I know we did the business there, but I mean, how many chances does he need? Then you've Jared Moreno on the bench, who's had an outstanding season with Villarreal.
But like, I'd only said that to Ted the other day. I said, how do you start Morata, who has about 10 goals this season, and you have Jared Moreno, who has a 30 odd and won the Europa League, playing and they play him out on the right wing. Now I know Villarreal do it as well at times, but he's a centre forward and thing. But watching him, I know he missed the penalty, Moreno did, and Morata missed the even easier tap in. It was just crazy. He's the most infuriating, overrated player you'll ever see.
He's absolutely, it's insane. I don't know how he starts them, because it's not just this season that he's been poor. He's been poor for quite a few seasons now. Like when Chelsea got him in, poor. And I know people will say, well, Werner hasn't had a great season for Chelsea, but even the bad season for Werner, you can see how good of a player Werner is. You can see the work he does off the ball, the assists, everything. Morata didn't even give that when he was at Chelsea, and it's just, you're looking at that player and you're like, why is he getting picked over other players? And there's a clear bias. I understand, why certain players weren't picked, but none of the Spanish players from Real Madrid get picked, and you're kind of looking and you're like, maybe not even to be starters, but to not even bring them. I don't know now.
They needed a Ramos in that team, really. He's an absolute dog.
Yeah, it kind of lacks a bit of leadership, doesn't it? I mean, I suppose they were expecting that from Busquets, but
he's not that type of player.
Yeah, he seems to be for a guy who's been in the trenches for so long. He's kind of a bit timid, isn't he?
Do you know who Busquets reminds me of? He reminds me of Michael Carrick. He does a lot of the silent work, but never gets any of the praise. But he's not the one you want trying to G up your players and you're losing 1-0.
No.
That's where Ramos was brilliant, and to me, he's a dog of a footballer, and he will drag you up.
That's what I find. That's what I find with Spain at the moment. They're kind of missing that spark, aren't they? That bit of sort of Catalan hot blood, bit of anger on the pitch, if you like.
They are, yeah.
They're kind of a bit workmanship at the moment, which is unusual for a Spanish side, and they're not too concerned about that over the top kind of flair and that beautiful play that we associate with Spain.
It's long gone in this team. When you start your midfield, it's Busquets, Koke, and Pedri. It tells you everything that's going to happen in the game, really.
Yeah,
you've got three workhorses, but everyone at Barcelona are apparently talking that Pedri's going to be a superstar.
He might be in the future, but he's young. You don't want to be putting all your reliance on a young lad, a young unproven player just yet. And what a goal though! That first goal in that game, that's just one of the worst own goals I think I've ever seen in my life. I just couldn't understand it. It's not like the sun was in his eyes or anything. Just no concentration.
I have to say though, fair play to him. He came back into the game and made some vital saves and stuff like that.
He did. Now he didn't let it get to him, but Jesus, you're just looking at that and you're like, man, that's just a lack of concentration. You didn't watch where the ball was going. You got comfortable.
Do you think that's going to cause him to get dropped?
No,
because I don't know whether they've any time for David De Gea at all. I just think he's there just to fill that spot. To be honest, I don't think they care enough. Because if they cared enough, he'd be on, wouldn't he?
You would think that he would start. To be honest, he started to come back into a little bit of form towards the end of the season. But yeah, it looks like it's. To be honest, he's 30 odd now. Maybe it's time to start moving on to the next keeper. They tried it with Kepa, and that went well.
I think that's the thing. I think Enrique has just made the decision that De Gea isn't their number one. He made that decision, and no matter what happens, I think he's just going to stick to that. Right or wrongly, the same with Morata. He's decided Morata is his number one striker. Rightly or wrongly, he's made that decision.
But you know, at that time when you get into the last 15 minutes and the likes of Croatia will have you under the cosh, that's when you kind of need that experience of a David De Gea to take the ball in and slow it down and talk
Yeah.
to his defence and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And this lad's only a kid. You know what I mean? But
Yes,
I have to say that save he made, that point blank one, I think it was from a few yards, was unbelievably. Definitely redeemed himself for it. Because I remember when the goal went in that you spoke about, the camera goes to Enrique and he's in the dugout and he's chomping down on a water bottle in anger. Like, it was mad.
But
I mean, other than that, he didn't do anything wrong in that game. You know, like I think he had a good game. Other than that, and it's just, it's an unfortunate mistake, but it is one that like a young keeper makes. Like De Gea isn't gonna make that mistake, you know. But then is De Gea gonna make some of the saves that he made later on? And as you said, to be fair to him, he didn't let it affect him. He just continued with his game. Like a lot of players' heads would have dropped there, and that would have been it for them.
I think De Gea there though, like within saying that, would he have made some of them saves? I've seen De Gea make saves that I don't think I'd see any other goalkeeper make.
In the past, you have, yeah, but
as of late, that game against Roma, in the thing, there were saves he made and that you'd see him make 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and he was probably the best keeper in the world. But I think he's slowing down now.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe Enrique thought it was going to penalties. He said, "I better not bring him on."
Yeah,
probably not.
Definitely don't want to bring him on for them anyway.
Don't mention the war there.
Absolutely. France versus Switzerland, 3-3, 5-4 down on pens. This was crazy, really, when you think about it. Some brilliant goals.
Yeah.
Seferovic's first header was brilliant from the corner.
Both of them were brilliant. Yeah. Both his headers were absolutely monstrous.
Like he was big, he was strong in the air. People calling for be a foul as a joke. He pushed him. You can't not jump with your arms. I'm sorry. If you're playing centre back, you have to expect someone's going to put their arm around you or beside you or on top of you. Like, you get on with it.
The Swiss goalkeeper is an interesting one, isn't it? Because like he's not your typical big goalkeeper. He's as agile as hell.
He's been around for about 400 years as well.
Yeah, he's around as long as I can remember in terms of Switzerland and stuff like that.
Yeah, same.
But no, it was him and Benaglio, wasn't it? Remember Benaglio?
Yeah, but he must be. I don't know what he's doing either as well, because he ain't aging either. He looks the exact same as well.
Yeah,
he's
not losing hair either.
some sort of cheating going on there. You know, he's cheating age anyway.
He's drinking that glacier mineral water or something like that in Switzerland.
When you look at it though, how important was that save that he made in the 90th minute against Wales now?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because it would have been the other way around and they would have played Denmark.
Yeah. That whole day, like those two games were on the same day, the Spain game and the France and Switzerland game. What a day for football. Like that's probably the best like internationals day I think I've ever seen.
That 2 minutes, that 2 or 3 minute spell in that France game where the penalty was awarded to being saved, to France scoring 2 absolutely class goals.
Yeah.
Benzema's first goal could easily win goal of the tournament for the touch alone. His second goal was brilliant. Great work from Mbappe and Griezmann. Good save from the keeper all the same. And then just tapping it into an empty net. And then Pogba's goal was just phenomenal. He was phenomenal in the game. And then obviously the second goal goes in. What a ball from Mbappe for Seferovic's second header. And then obviously the incident. I know what Pogba was trying to do there was trying to buy a free kick, finish the game out, gets caught, and off to end and scored.
That's the problem with Pogba. Like that game showed everything about Paul Pogba that you need to know. Like for the whole game, he was absolutely brilliant, pinging passes around, quality finish to put them 3-1 up, and then tries to hold the ball up. There is passes there, like he can pass it back to Varane, he can pass it off to the side to Kante, but he tries to hold on to it, tries to win a free kick, and then doesn't get it. And instead of just getting up and getting on with it and playing the whistle, like you're taught from schoolboy age, play the whistle, slams his 2 hands on the ground and slowly gets up. And by the time he's gotten up, there's a ball in the back of the net. And like that's what stops Pogba being, that world, like truly being world class, is that attitude of like, I should have got that free kick. don't worry about if you should have got the free kick. If you should have got a free kick, you'll get the free kick. Like just play the whistle, and sometimes just letting the ball like pass it off. Don't try and do too many tricks. I know they were 3-2 up, and it's coming to the end of the game, but like it just shows like, and the headline wasn't going to be Paul Pogba's great goal, especially when they went on and lost. It was going to be Pogba costs France.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with you, like with that, he was looking for the free kick. He goes down. Like, it didn't matter that he went down and stayed down. He was never going to get up and get the ball back before the pass was played. You have to question what the two centre halves were doing as well, letting your man run in the middle of them.
Yeah, it's bad from them as well, but like Pogba shouldn't be losing that ball.
They should have never been in that position.
Yeah, exactly. He shouldn't.
No, they should never have been in it.
Yeah.
But like, within saying that, it's Pogba caused France because he threw a strop on the ground. Even with the tackle when it went in, he was never going to win the ball back.
Yeah.
So no, but
the two boys still have to do their job.
Yeah, you're still a centre half, but like the two centre halves, when you watch them, they were going back that way, leaving them all the middle to go.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be losing the ball there. You have there's passes on. Like just let go of the ball. Don't try and do anything fancy. Just pass it off, and that's where the problem is with him. Like, for all the great things he does, he'll go and do
moments
something.
Of that, yeah.
You see, it's always at least one moment of that, and that's the real problem for someone like Pogba.
One of the theories I have at the moment that I say to the lads on previous podcasts and stuff like that, are we kind of saying a sort of a leveling out in terms of international football, that the gap is tightening between what we would regard as, the top international teams compared to that sort of middle ground of team? They all seem to be investing a lot of money in grassroots football and producing a lot of really good footballers that are not necessarily stars. Yeah, well, apart from us, but we didn't invest.
Well, we just let ours go play for England, so.
No, we just went and bought Gargle and Pope.
Yeah, and then anyone good we let go play for England, just let them go off there.
Yeah,
lack of convincing.
Yeah, like what you said there is probably bang on. All the smaller-ish nations are now creating players that are good to great to some of them being world class.
Yeah. It's not even world class, but just really solid technical footballers, like, who know their job.
Like there, if you take Wales, for instance, right? You have Ramsey, Joe Allen was solid. Bale, you could say whatever Bale was, whatever you want to rate him as, you know what I mean? You've had Giggs through the years. There's Mark Hughes, you know what I mean? Yeah. There are players always there, but they're coming more consistently now for smaller nations.
Yeah, I think the problem with Wales is you get that splattering going through all at kind of different times and different levels in their career. So it doesn't kind of come together all at once. I know they had that good run in that tournament. But I mean, you know what I mean, in terms of, like, you get Bale at his peak and you don't have maybe Giggs, or you get someone else at the peak and you don't have someone else, and then someone else peaks and this one's on the way out. And
it's a shame.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think for those middle ground teams and like lower teams now, I think they've just gotten better at being compact and defensively sound and frustrating these bigger teams. And then they'll have like a big guy up front or someone speedy up front where they'll just lash the ball up after they eventually win it back. They'll sustain 25 minutes of pressure, eventually get it back, and then smash it up there and hope that player scores. And I think that's why people don't enjoy international football as much anymore, because it tends to just be this all-out assault of watching these smaller teams just trying to hold on until they eventually get the ball back and then booting it as far up the pitch as they can. And you don't get to see the good players really showcase what they can do anymore, because teams are just so dropped back and compact against them. Yeah. There's no enjoyment in watching that.
Yeah, they've also invested heavily in world-class coaches. You've seen in a lot of these emerging nations now, they have really good coaches in there, and they've spent a lot of money putting those coaches in place, which obviously reaps its benefits as well. Moving on to tonight then, obviously England 2, Germany 0. Kind of disappointing from Germany. Muller must feel horrible at the moment after missing that opportunity. Kind of at the
you'd have put your house on him.
Yeah, you would have, and especially against Pickford.
Honestly, I wouldn't. I found him to be the most inconsistent. Him and the likes of Morata, he misses so many chances. He's not like he started at Bayern as a striker, and he was never a striker. I don't think so. Anyway, he's now playing in a 10 role, kind of doing whatever. He misses so many. That man should have so many more goals to his name. than he does now. Not taking anything away that he's not a great player, but like for me, him missing a chance is not surprising.
But missing that chance,
Yeah, like
that chance
against
okay,
Pickford
yeah.
as well.
That's a bad one. Like,
yeah.
But like that's what I'm saying. I'm not surprised that he missed it.
yeah.
The worst part was it wasn't even like, Werner had a chance slightly earlier. Now, and I actually think Pickford did well on that chance with Werner. He came out, made himself big. There was no real angle, and Werner went to go between his legs. That was the only choice he really had, and Pickford saves it. But for this one, Pickford doesn't make himself big. He leaves all of the net open for him, and he just misses. It's not like it hits the post. It's not like anything happens, like any player gets a touch on it. It's just a bad miss. Like,
and it was basically just a slot home. He could have went to either side.
Yeah, just pass that in.
Home. And even if he wasn't confident with that, all he had to do was shadow the ball and win the penalty, whatever you want. Yeah. Like, he's so many options. Like, it was
just
crazy.
don't do what you done.
Don't do what you did. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of a bit out on Timo Werner. I'm not too sure. I'm not convinced by him. I know he's had an adjustment moving into the Premier League and stuff like that. But I mean, even tonight, he offered nothing.
I think his confidence is just gone. I think there's no confidence there. They need to send him down and make him play with just the youth team or something to get that confident. Like, just have him burying goals against the youth team or something. Like, do you remember that video of years ago of Michael Owen when he was like 18 and they had him smashing goals past that 14-year-old keeper, and they're like, yeah, Michael, he's only 14, and Michael Owen's running off celebrating them and all. Send Werner off to do something like that. Like, the man has no confidence. I still think he's a quality player, but the confidence is just not there for him. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think when you look at especially in the Champions League final when he made the run to open up the space for Havertz and stuff like that, which was absolutely outstanding. But I just think, you're talking about a 50-60 million pound striker who was absolutely lighting up the Bundesliga. Should we not expect more?
This was the point that I said. I think I said it to Ian and all in our group chat here about him. I says, you have to build that team around him. He will not play centre forward and get goals like he did in Germany. When he played for Leipzig, he had Josef Poulsen running. He had the attacking midfielder's name, I can't remember now. Sabitzer coming off him, you know what I mean? He was coming in from the left, he was coming in from the right. Chelsea have said to him, you're up front. It's fairly hard to make the movement runs that he did in Germany from playing centre forward to being just anywhere across that front three.
I think even next season, I think it's going to be difficult for him because I think you're going to get an unbelievable Kai Havertz. You're going to get Christian Pulisic is there. He's outstanding. There's so many really, really good players there that kind of overshadow him a bit as well and pressurize him a bit. And I just think, I don't know. I don't know whether Tuchel's going to have the patience that people think he's going to have.
I don't see it myself. I can see him gone come the end of the next season if it doesn't work, or even in January if the right offer come in.
And then you're looking at Chelsea as well. They're linked with Haaland, they're linked with Lukaku coming back. They're linked with so many players.
There's zero chance of Haaland going to Chelsea, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Lukaku maybe, but he has a point to prove at Chelsea twice.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I can't see him going back either.
Yeah.
I know Haaland.
He wants to stay at Inter, isn't it? But I think if he did go back to Chelsea, I mean, you have to start Lukaku, don't you? Which means Werner's on the bench.
Yeah.
I don't. I'd start the two of them.
I don't know whether Tuchel would go for that.
No, I don't think Tuchel
he's not. He's not as attacking, but I'd start the two of them. I'd have Werner play out on the right or on the left, and let him run off, kind of like when it used to be crouching Defoe, things like that.
I don't see Tuchel doing that. I think Tuchel would be just one of them. I don't know, for the sake of Haaland, I know he's a quality player and everything, but I think everyone in football just needs to fucking make the decision now. Listen, don't touch him. After Barcelona released, we're not signing him because this is the contract that he wanted us to sign him to. Everyone in football should have just put their hands up and gone, right, nobody touch him.
Well, I think that's kind of what they have done to a point.
Yeah, that needs to be done.
Some teams are doing is they're testing the water in terms of they're contacting Haaland and saying, "Hey, we're interested in signing you," but you can tell your agent to fuck off. He's getting half of what he wants, and you can tell your dad to fuck off. He ain't getting what he wants.
Yeah. I think just for football, it needs to just be done. Like it's just something they all need to do because it's gotten out of hand. It's gotten a bit ridiculous now, and for the good of the game, this needs to be stomped out now. But that English team now, I've kind of had this out with Greg a couple of times. United for Sancho is the big move, and I don't know if he's the player that United should be going for anymore. Like, he's not getting into that English squad, and you're looking at it and you're going, does he deserve to get into it ahead of some of those players? Like, Grealish isn't starting, and I don't know if Sancho would start ahead of Grealish. I personally think Saka is a better player, and he's a Premier League proven player as well. I think he's a better player than Sancho. He's younger as well, so there is still the room for improvement there.
It's kind of weird with Southgate, isn't it? Because with Southgate, he's kind of like not necessarily getting away with it, but like, I mean, if that didn't turn out the way he did last night, wouldn't there be huge questions about Sancho, Grealish not starting, Mason Mount, all these kind of players?
He's very defensive minded.
Yeah,
very defensive minded.
Like, I can understand Mount not playing, having not trained till yesterday, which was fine, whatever. But to me, if I was Southgate there, so he punished Foden and Greenwood that time last year or whatever. Remember when they brought the girls back?
Yeah, up in Iceland or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. But yes, Mount and Chilwell go and meet up with an opposition team player and then somehow test positive, you know what I mean? But there's nothing being made of that.
I don't think you probably want to rock the boat in the middle of a tournament. I think something will come of it, but I think it's probably being handled internally and probably the way that we wouldn't expect in England set up to handle it. We would expect them to be throwing lads under the bus in the media and creating all this furore that we're used to. But I think with Southgate, the one thing you can say about Southgate is he's very, very professional in the way he kind of handles things. He doesn't get drawn in, and he doesn't get, the way previous England managers, they just get sucked in and they get eaten up by the media on the simplest of things, you know what I mean? I think he's very clever in the way he's managing things. And but I don't know, in terms of player selection, it's kind of like, this is a guy who came out 2 weeks ago and says, we're not bringing any tourists. He's brought a lot of tourists.
Well, Henderson being one of them, I don't know how he went.
Henderson's injured, isn't he?
He played the other night. He played 20 minutes or something when he came on, did he? But like, why in God's earth would you waste the space on him? Right, whatever he does, whatever he does for Liverpool and thing. But Roy Keane said it right. If he's injured, why are you bringing him?
I think you have to. He's coming on, which would suggest he's not injured, but he may not be fully match fit. But I think, Greg, you have to have some sort of experience in there. The team is very short on experience.
No, I fully get that. But like, what's to say you can't bring him as well, but not as a player? Like,
as you part can still of the bring coaching setup, nearly.
Yeah.
Like,
if he's not going to play 90 minutes on Saturday, what's the point in having him there?
Also, I mean, they've played all their games in England, so you don't need to have brought him as a part of your team. He just lives down the road anyway. Like,
yeah, but I don't know whether you can just skate into that bubble. Can you?
No, like they would have to bring him as
part of the setup.
No, probably not. But like, I'm just saying, I don't know. The English team selection is very defensive minded, which is strange to say because he didn't bring Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which, if you want to go defensive, that's who you should be bringing. But whatever about that. He has so many attacking players out there to choose from, and
they trade him today.
I know Kane is their talisman, and they want him to start firing, and he did score eventually today, but he hasn't been at the races. And
he's been terrible.
I think he needed to come off. Like, just get him off and just put someone else up there, I think.
I'd say when he was on the ground holding that knee, Levy was having a fucking heart attack. I'd say, it's like that lottery ticket you left in your pocket that one went through the washing machine or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's seen those pound signs go down and down and down.
down to zero.
Yeah.
No, someone will still sign him even if he was injured. But like, to me, his performance in the first 3 games, he didn't deserve to play tonight. he scored. Great, might get him going.
It's been like that for
I
a couple of
suppose
forwards.
I suppose it's again like the Mason Mount situation. That the boys, you're not going to rock the boat, not against Germany at this point, because if you do, you will be absolutely buried in the media if it doesn't work out. I mean, I'd be all for putting like Calvert-Lewin up there or something like that, or something. But you know, if you make that decision and it doesn't work out, jeez, man, you're going to get crucified.
Oh, I fully get that as well. He's the captain and this, that, and the other. But like, if you're in that bad of form, right, and you're playing against that Germany back three who aren't quick by any stretch of the means, why not? If you're going to play Sterling and they played Saka, why not play Calvert-Lewin, Rashford, someone like that that's going to run in behind?
Well, maybe was his thinking to try and get him against that defence and play him back into form.
I think that is the idea, and I think the problem for being the England manager is that there's certain players that the media expect to play unless they're injured. And if you don't play them and it doesn't go well, then there's this massive, you're crucified. It was like when Rooney was brought to the World Cup when he was 18, and he was just coming off quite a big injury, and Ferguson said, like, do not bring him. You're just going to ruin him. Like, he's going to run himself into the ground the same way Michael Owen did, and it's not worth it. And they were like, I'd be crucified. Ericsson just said, like, listen, I'll be crucified if I don't bring Wayne Rooney to this tournament. So he's coming, and he's playing, and whether that was a good, like, Rooney didn't have a great tournament or anything, and it turns out Ferguson was kind of right. Like, you probably just shouldn't have brought him. But that English side, I do understand that they have to play Kane because he, as you say, Niall, he'll get crucified if he doesn't play him. But I think that's where the big manager decisions need to be. Like, this man's not performing, bring in somebody else.
But that's not going to be the decision that should get made from a guy who is such a safe bet in Southgate.
Yeah, true.
I mean, he doesn't rock any boats there.
No.
Really, you know what I mean? Moving on to the last game tonight, then Sweden 1, Ukraine 2. Ukraine in extra time, right at the death. Obviously, the crazy tackle that brought Sweden down to 10 men. The replay of that tackle was like, oh, nasty.
I'm on that boat that I don't think that was a red card.
No, I don't either. I think because he got the ball, and I think he was looking at the ball all the time. But, and I think the coming together was more circumstance than anything else. I don't think he went to do him.
But like, what's he supposed to do there after he clears that? He cannot do anything else. It was the same as when your man Kufal caught Chilwell.
I think
he got sent off for it.
Yeah, I think the rule though, isn't it, that they look at now, that if you take flight at that height,
it's dangerous.
It's proper dangerous. Like he could have ended that guy's career there tonight.
Well, I'd say he's after doing his ACL or something, but
his tournament's over anyway. I think the problem is that, yes, he's got the ball, and there's no intent, and it's not malicious. It's just the fact that the foot is up high, and the studs are up. Yeah, studs are up, the foot's up high, and when you do watch the replay, and I know they say like the ref isn't to watch this in slow motion and he has to judge it in real time, but they show it in slow motion, and you can see that this man has just broken another player's leg. And human emotion is going, like, I don't care, like, unless you get a robot to officiate that game, human emotion is going to play a part, and you're going to look at that and you're going to go, that's bad. That looks bad. That looks terrible. And I can't, and, VAR told him, you need to go have a look at that. If you've been told to go have a look at that and you see that, you're not going to sit there and go, I'll just give him a yellow. You're going to go, I've been told to have a look at this because this was bad.
Yeah, and it's like VAR making the decision for you, isn't it?
Yeah, you're being told, like, listen, that's a red card, and you need to give him a red card. But we're not going to tell you have to do it. But like, go have a look, and you'll see why you're going to do it.
The worst part I found with that was, so he's cleared it, and then the Ukraine fella has ran across him and got caught. Do you know what I mean? That's
I know where Greg's come from as well. What can you do? You can't do it.
I get it as well on both sides, but I think from the referee's perspective, and I'd be interested to hear what Mark has to say on it. But from a referee's perspective, you see that and you're just, that's a red card.
I think there was a time when they'd look at it and they'd have to kind of figure out like intent. Remember, we always used to talk about intent, I'm with Greg a bit on this as well. I could see why it was a red, but I could also see if it was a yellow, why it would have been a yellow. Because I don't think he intentionally went into doom. I don't think
No.
he's a dirty player.
No.
I think basically he took flight. He won the ball, but he was so out of control. And then the nastiness of looking back at it. I mean, when you look back at that knee bending the other way, you're just going, "Oh my god,
That's you done, son. You're out."
Yeah,
I think the question is that had that been the second minute of the game, is he going into that tackle like that? Is that a tired man's tackle and he's flown in like that, just thrown himself at it because it's so late in the game? Like, is that a fresh player's tackle, or is it a tired? So. I think it's a tired man's tackle, and his concentration levels are down. You know, it's 110 minutes or odd, whatever it was. I think it's just a tired brain, tired body. And
I think his concentration levels were spot on because he went in and he won the ball. So he did his job. I think there was circumstance there in terms of where the player came across him and he caught the player. But I think the red card was more the fact that he had taken flight and it was so high. More so.
Yeah, but
I think if that
would you
have
have flown in like that? Yeah, but would he have flown in like that at the start of the game? You know, it was that tired.
It is, when you go to the VAR screen and you have all this benefit of all this slow motion, as you said, Ted, but we're talking milliseconds here in terms of that reaction. You know what I mean?
No, I do understand that, but my point is that if he's done that because he's tired, then it's because then there is a recklessness to it. Not intentionally reckless, but there's a tiredness, and he's done something reckless because he's, you know, tired, physically tired, which is understandable. Being 110 minutes in whatever amount of degrees it was at the time, like 20 something degrees. You know, you're going to be tired. You're going to be like, and I don't know whether
I don't know whether a ref could make an opinion on that though. Did he? A ref couldn't go over and look at that and go, "Okay, he's after doing this because he's flown in because he's tired." You know what I mean? But I'm saying that into a weird sort of ground. You know what I mean?
I know, yeah, but that's what I think. That's what the ref is kind of been told. You know, you have to go over and look at that. Like, was that reckless? And he's had to go over, look at that, and go, "Yeah, it looked a bit reckless." And who's really going to question me if I say that's a red card? Like, I'm not going to be crucified in the papers for giving that a red card, because when the picture of that gets shown in the paper of his boot and that lad's leg bent in half like Psycho said, no one's going to ask me.
Going ballistic.
No, they knew it was a clearance, but for me, I don't agree that it was a tired tackle, because it wasn't a tackle, it was a clearance. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he slid in to win the ball. The ball came at an awkward angle and he went the only way he could to get rid of it. And it's just unfortunate he catches him the way he caught him. Now, don't get me wrong, no matter what happens, as soon as you catch someone above the knee, you're going to be sent off anyway. But that I don't understand the thinking about it. Like, you're clearing the ball. Do you know what I mean? You can't exactly swing your leg to clear it. You can't exactly pull it back straight away.
Yeah, I think it's the fact. I think the ref looked at it, and I think it was more the fact that he had taken flight. He was off the ground, going at him, and that's the most dangerous.
Yeah, but the worst of it there was nobody appealed for that red card. As soon as you got the yellow card, they were willing to just get the game on with. It was VAR that came up and said there's a potential red card check here.
Yeah, and then he was told to go to the screen, and I think once you're told to go to the screen,
it's all over then.
I think you're like, have we seen any decisions where they've gone to the screen and, you know, stuck to their own decision?
No, I don't think so.
There has been, not many.
If there has been, it's a handful. Like, that's what I mean.
Like, I think if Sweden were to go through, they'd have appealed that red card and they'd have won it, in my opinion.
I don't know if they'd have won it, because I think there's an argument there for it being a red card. So I think it would have been upheld. Whether it should be a red card or not is up for debate, but I think there's an argument there that it could have been.
You're talking about a player being carried off as well, like with his leg banjoed. You know what I mean? So it'd be hard to win that appeal on the grounds of what, like, you know.
Yeah. To me, it's just that, like, I'll go back to the West Ham game where West Ham and Chelsea played, and your man Koufal done it to Chilwell when he was clearing it, and he came down on his leg like that. Do you know what I mean? There has to be what's the right word? Everything has to be kept the same.
Yeah,
there has to be a consistent. There does have to be a consistency, but like, I think when you're sent over and you look at that, and then you know this is the picture that's going to be in the paper, right? You're a referee, and I know you're not meant to think about stuff like that, but you look at that and you see that freeze frame of one lad's studs in another lad's legs, and the other lad's leg bent like Psycho Sid's, and you're thinking to yourself, that's the picture that's in the newspaper tomorrow, and I'm not going to not give that a red card when I've been told to come have a look at this. And I think that's where it really ends. And I can't blame the referee for that, because looking at it like that, I was like, oh, that probably is a red card. In real time, I didn't, but when you're showing it that way, and that's something that the world football needs to come to. Stop showing them anything in slow motion. They're not allowed to see it in slow motion anymore, because that's what they're meant to make their decision based on.
Yeah, but they're trying to make their decision as well based on a number of factors, and some of those factors you can only judge when you see it in slow motion, not necessarily when you see it connecting with the knee and the knee bend. Maybe that's different, because that's definitely a decisive factor. But I think to see the slow motion of him lifting off the ground and taking flight, you know what I mean? Because if you see that in real time, you may not cop that or catch it, you know.
That is how he's meant to be refereeing the game as well.
Yeah, but he's also trying to decipher about intent, and intent is a very, very loose bubble.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? Because as Greg said, he didn't intentionally go in to damage a man's day or hurt him. He went in to do his job, which was clear a ball, and he cleared the ball, and it just so happened he connected with your man's leg, which was kind of the after effect. I mean, especially when they do VAR decisions at the moment, they always talk about when they run the play back, they talk about, well, did that play interfere with that play, and they're trying to figure it all out, you know? So I think in this case, you have those couple of parts there. He went in, cleared the ball, did his job. He connected with your man's leg, but I don't think he was going in intentionally to connect with your man's leg.
No, I don't think he was either. I think.
Whereas before, if the history of refereeing, you look at it, it's very clear. Like if you look at, say, Kane, or you look at Haaland, there was intent on those tackles, or the Shearer stuff.
He pleads innocent to that.
Oh, he doesn't. He pleads complete intent to it. He's like, yeah, I did him. I went in on him. He doesn't even pretend. Like,
I used to think that was a nice man till I seen the money he wanted for the son's transfer, and then I go, hey, you were a nasty fucker in reality. Like,
fuck you.
Glad
Keane did you?
Quarterfinals. This is where you get to pick your quarterfinals. Switzerland versus Spain.
I think Switzerland.
Everything says it should be Spain. Everything says it should be Spain, but
they can't defend.
Switzerland have shown, Switzerland knocked France out. They're not the slouches that you kind of think they are, I suppose.
Like Switzerland are solid all round.
Yeah, they play as a unit, don't they?
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, how your man Jack is a professional footballer, I'll never know.
He had a good game.
He does well for them.
He does well for them.
He
played well.
No, he's a dirty bastard.
I've looked at him for a couple of years, even at Arsenal, and I'm looking at him going, how? What are you doing different to say Jack Wilshere, who could have done a better job for you?
He probably plays about 35 more games a season. That's the only difference.
Yeah, he stays fit.
Well, like even that, like they let Ramsey go to bring him in.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Ramsey let himself go. In fairness.
Yeah, Ramsey wanted out. I think that like if you're given money and told, like go in and you have to make sure that you pick the right person or the right team to go through. I think your head is saying to you, Spain should be going through here. They haven't been great, but like you just think about it and you're like, Spain should be the better team. Like, but I don't know. I think there is something in that Switzerland team that they could beat Spain.
I think Severovic is going to cause them all sorts of problems up front. He's big, strong. He's good in the air. He's not slow for a big guy. Good touch. Can shoot.
Yeah, I just wonder is this Luis Enrique being a sneaky fucker, and this is where he unleashes Thiago and Jared Moreno now, and stuff like that. Was he coasting into this position to hold those guys for these things? I'd be interested to see that. I think someone like a Thiago in there against Spain or against Switzerland will be vital in terms of moving balls around stuff like that. And I don't think against Switzerland, where you will get opportunities, you can't afford to have a Morata there who's going to squander them. You know what I mean?
To me, Thiago isn't a Luis Enrique player. He brought him because of the name. Now, don't get me wrong, Thiago's world class. But look at most of Luis Enrique's sides. Even when he was at Barca, he went more industrious in the middle than he did intentional football and people like when he had Xavi and Iniesta and whatnot.
But you're probably not going to get the best out of Morata unless you put footballers in there to support him, are you?
You're not going to get the best out of Morata anyway.
No, but I mean, if you hope to get a little bit more than what you get in terms of.
Oh yeah, to me, you'd have to have him in that team to create the chances for him.
Yeah.
But why in God's earth is he still playing? Do you know what I mean? Like, if I was Luis Enrique, he'd have been gone after missing that open net from the penalty miss.
Yeah.
That would have been it. Now, I know Moreno missed the penalty.
He's decided that's who he's going with, and
But
who
for
knows
me-
why, but that's what he's decided on.
For me, I'd be going Moreno up front, and I'd put your man or Laziabal or Ziliable, the guy who got the 5th goal last night.
Yeah.
Orzabal.
Yeah, and play him and Moreno.
I think Spain should go through, but I don't know. I have a sneaky suspicion that the Swiss will sneak past here again.
I'm gonna stick with Spain. I don't know why, because I was all over Switzerland in terms of the last match, but I just think, I don't know, like beating France is that their final?
That's true.
You know, I'd be out celebrating it if it was me anyway. Belgium versus Italy. This is meltwater.
That's the big game, isn't it?
I'm not playing this game anymore.
I'm sticking with Belgium because I was Belgium right from the beginning, so I'm not changing.
Italy for me. They're too good defensively.
I don't know. It's hard to judge. Italy's up front. Immobile hasn't really been firing.
He's 3 goals this competition, Ted.
He does, but like he should have more. Like the amount of chances he's actually missed, he should have more than that.
That boy Chiesa. Wow.
Yeah,
So now,
Chiesa is something else.
Did you hear the joke they made about Buffon? They're like, how old must Buffon feel? He played with Chiesa's dad and played with Chiesa.
Yeah, before they made it there, where they're talking about France, like, oh, here's Deschamps putting on Thuram, and he's like, he used to play with his dad, and he's like, yeah, but Buffon's playing with lads that he played with their dad, not just managing them. Italy are strong. I think Italy defensively, Lukaku's touch has improved, but it's still not superb, and I think Italy will pounce on him on any bad touch he has.
Chiellini being back on Friday as well is a big boost.
Yeah.
He gave these guys a bit of a handful down in the Italian league this year, though, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
So he kind of knows to put himself about with these boys, you know.
But there's a difference when you were playing with that Inter Milan team, right, against Juventus, an arguably poor Juventus team. Well, not even a poor Juventus team. They were just an out of sorts Juventus team.
Poor performing.
Yeah. They're now playing for Belgium, and you're going to be missing Hazard and De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's your 2 most creative players, and Hazard was pretty good when he came back. Losing De Bruyne is just a nightmare for them. Now, don't get me wrong. Tielemans has been brilliant. Torgan Hazard's been very, very good. I like the look of you, man. Daku, whatever, the young lad that's linked with Liverpool. He looked very good when he played that second game. There's a few players there, but if you take the creativeness of De Bruyne and Hazard out, it takes an awful lot. Now, you can put Mertens and all in, but if they don't play, I can't give Belgium. I don't think Belgium have a chance.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very that really is the big game. Like, this is essentially the final of the tournament, really, isn't it? When you're looking at the teams that are left, you're thinking that's the final, really. I'll go with Italy because before the tournament, I didn't think about Italy at all, and then I started hearing about this record and watching them play in the tournament. They have been very, very good. Immobile, I think, has been a little bit out of sorts. Like, a lot of the chances he's had, I think he would have put away before this tournament. Like, if you're going back and watching them, he would have put them away. But I think the loss of De Bruyne and Hazard is big for Belgium. I just feel that Lukaku will have the boys snapping at his heels, which might put him out of sorts in this game.
To me, it's a triple win for Italy. Like, there's talks now that Chiellini is fully fit and back. To get your captain back and arguably the best defender in the team back, and to lose their 2 most attacking players.
Yeah.
What more could you want? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the talk coming out of the camp. Is that actually the reality of what happens come game day?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Czech Republic versus Denmark. I mean,
Denmark.
I'm Denmark as well. Even on my heart for what happened with Ericsson and all, I want Denmark to do well. Like,
I want Denmark to go through, and like, it's mad because when you think about that Denmark team, like it's Ericsson. You know, you were thinking about Ericsson as the player, really, and you know what happened was absolutely dreadful. But Denmark have, you know, they've pulled up their socks and they've done a job. Like, and I did. Czech got through, but like I don't think they're better than Denmark really. So
it's interesting the way it matches up, though, isn't it? Because the Czech Republic, they're very military-like in their way, aren't they? They just
solid.
Workmanship is there and solid, as you said. And I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how that contrast matches up to Denmark. I'm sure they'll be on a high after trashing Wales 4-0, but
yeah,
you know, it's a Welsh time that's really a shadow of itself. I wouldn't be, you know, looking into that too much.
Like, it's good. It was good. It was good to see Kasper Dahlberg playing well again. Remember when he was at Ajax, everyone wanted him.
Yeah.
But like that front four for Denmark, your man Christoffersen or whatever they brought on, he scored. Dahlberg got 2, and your man Braithwaite, like how he got a transfer to Barcelona, I'll never know. But
they just needed somebody. Anybody would have done.
But like that front four worked really well.
No, they did do well. Yeah,
Denmark,
they've looked good since, you know.
They're just solid. As well. Like, to me, Denmark the better team. Your man Schick is going to be dangerous to defend against, though. He looks like he's on fire, and he looks like he's playing for a transfer somewhere.
Well, he'll get one. He's put a price tag on his head with this tournament, I think.
There's Harry Kane's replacement. You heard it here first in the upper tier.
You reckon?
Would very well be. He'd be cheap enough that Levy would be all over him.
I don't know whether he'd be that cheap enough.
Where's he playing now?
It's Germany.
Yeah, he's in Germany.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Germans don't seem to put big fees on them.
The days of getting cheap players out of the Bundesliga are long gone at this stage.
I know. United are about to pay 77 million quid for Sancho. And at one time we got an Owen Hargreaves for free.
Yeah, that 77 million doesn't even include the add-ons, I'd imagine.
No, it doesn't.
Rounding it out then, Ukraine versus England. I mean, 3 Irish lads here, obviously. Ukraine.
On the Ukraine.
The Ukrainian boys. I don't know. It's going to be tough for Ukraine. They've just gone through 120 minutes here, which is always going to. I know, they're people will say they're professional footballers and they should be fully fit and be able to do this after a couple of days rest. This, that, and the other. Yeah. But it's not just a physical game. Like, I know when we go out and we play football or whatever, it's a physical game. You're playing at an entirely different level, and there's a mental stress to every single one of those games. You're thinking to yourself, if I make a mistake out when I'm playing with the boys, it's on the AstroTurf. Sure, no one's going to remember the fucking goal in 20 minutes. Whereas here you have the whole world watching you. There's a mental strain here, and 120 minutes of that is going to put it on you. And then you're going in here against what is a good English team. Like, as much as I hate to say it, like this English team is good, but like there's been plenty of good English teams in the past as well. Like loads of them that really should have. Like, football's coming home. It should have come home for them. Like, when you look at some of the teams, that the players that they've had all at the one time, unlike Wales, who've had players come in as somebody else is leaving. These have had players that have always been quality and should be winning massive tournaments. But they always seem to bottle it somewhere. And they've gone and beaten Germany, which I don't know if people were really expecting. And this is where you'd expect England, like, they have a nice clean run now to the final, beat Ukraine, and then they'll be against Spain or whatever, or Switzerland, and like, they should be in the final. This is where they'll drop the ball.
How big a deal, Greg, is it that you think the fact that the match is away, it's not at Wembley?
I think it's an absolute joke that England have managed to play their 4 games at Wembley. Like, how is that fair? They have not travelled anywhere.
That's what I was saying. Jordan Henderson could have stayed at home. Like,
but
he's travelled in.
Where are they playing? Where is the game?
It's Rome, isn't it? I think it's in Italy. I think, as far as I know.
The heat might get to them. No, it shouldn't.
Coupled with the pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sure. Phil Foden sporting that Gaza hairdo. He's gotta win now. No, I don't think it. I think they'll have far too much for Ukraine. Ukraine are industrious, but like Holland should have destroyed them. Then they got, I think Russia bet them, didn't they? Russia bet them 2-0.
Yeah.
And then they won the last game. Do you know what I mean? They got through fine. Their last game performance was one of the worst performances I think the Euros have seen. Damien Duff went ballistic about Zinchenko and everything, couldn't pass the ball 2 yards. They go out there tonight and win against a 10-man Sweden team with what was the last kick of the game, basically. I think England will be far too much. I think Kane will give Iman Vida or whatever his name is a torrid time. And Saka playing really well on the right. Sterling playing really well on the left. It's going to cause problems for the fullbacks.
Sterling's really putting himself in the window, isn't he? Because I know things aren't rosy at City at the moment at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't be sticking around anyway. Well, they stick around, you win trophies, but like he's not playing really.
Yeah, I think he got the hump at being talked about as being a make-weight part of a deal. And, he didn't like the sound of that at all, and he got the hump over it, which is fair enough. But I mean, he didn't have a great season really when you think about it. I know they won the league and stuff like that, but in terms of his own personal goals,
compared to the last season.
Yeah, he had a decline this season, but I don't like. This is where like everything says England should go through here, but how many times has that been the case? This is the sort of game that England go and lose in a tournament all the time. Like this is the one where you're like, this should be easy sailing. It's not a big name, it's not a big team. They should coast through here, and this is the one they'll go and lose. Like this is like, honestly, I can see Ukraine just going, don't even bother attacking these. Just hold out for 120 minutes and get this till penalties and watch them shit themselves. Like honestly, I can see a team just sitting there thinking that with them. Just hold out.
We'll get them to penalties. You think they'd hold England out for 120 minutes?
Not a chance.
I don't think they'd do that.
There's too much talent in that England team. Yeah. Mount, Grealish, Saka, Sancho, Kane, Rashford. There's the chance.
They shouldn't, but like as I said, like this is the exact game where England will go and lose.
But like this here is where Southgate should turn around and be like, right, I'm only playing one of those two in midfield. I'm only playing either Rice or I'm only playing Calvin Phillips, and give himself another attacking flair player.
He won't.
There's no chance he won't. He will, but that's what he should do, and really just put it to them. Not that I want to see that happen or anything, but.
Yeah, they've been really lucky, haven't they, with Sterling returning to form, and also Calvin Phillips has been really, really good for them.
Yeah.
Which were two kind of interesting kind of picks, really, when we think about it, because Sterling didn't have a great season. Calvin Phillips was playing at Leeds, but he was injured, I think, for the latter end of the season as well. And then he just came back into a bit of form towards the end. So he was a big choice pick. When I see Calvin Phillips in there, I was kind of going, what are you bringing him for?
Well,
see him in that first game, he was outstanding.
Well, that team selection in the first game was an absolute joke. Now, Calvin Phillips worked out, but playing Trippier left back, when you have two left backs there, you know what I mean? Like Shaw got team of the year, left back. Chilwell played really, really well for Chelsea all season. Then you have Trippier playing right back for Atletico Madrid. Now, what we'll do is we'll play Walker right back and play you left back. If I was Luke Shaw there and I hadn't played the second game, I'd have left. I'd have gone home. Yeah. I'd have been like, there's no point in me even being here. Like, now Shaw came in and he didn't play well in the second game. He played well today.
Yeah, I don't know. Like all like this, the smart money says England should go through here, but I don't know. I never know with that English squad.
You love an L Cup upset, don't you?
I don't even love a cup upset. It's England just seem to be like drawn to, doing really well, beating the big team, and then getting beaten by some nobodies. Like they're just drawn to it. Like, do you remember when they got beaten by Iceland?
Yeah, you could see.
Remember that? Yeah.
You could see them getting beaten on penalties and Foden on the pitch with the blonde hair, crying like Gaza.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
But we'll see. But I expect them to go through. I'll hold out for the semis. That's something that happens there.
Denmark to beat them in the semis.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
They don't go against they go against Spain or Switzerland in the semis.
No, England.
Don't they?
No, England go against Denmark.
Denmark.
Do they?
Yeah. All the big teams were on one side of the draw, bar England, Germany, and Holland went out.
All right.
I was only saying to the lads earlier. I says we were talking about Denmark doing well, and we were like, "Do you remember when Denmark won the Euros and they didn't even qualify?
Yeah.
They got put in. Yeah. They got put in because as Russia or USSR or someone got thrown out.
Illegal players.
And then they go on to win it.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't
it? It's rough for them to do it again.
Yeah. It'd be great for them to win it, but I can't look past it. Italy or Belgium, whoever wins that, I think is the.
I think
the winner.
The winner that comes out of that side of the group or that side of the draw.
Yeah, assuming they haven't put up too much mileage at that stage with so many top level ties, if you like, to have to deal with from a mental point.
That's where the real question is, isn't it? Like, how tired are you going to be when you get to that final?
But surely as well, playing top level means you have to play at your top level, right? So England now look at Ukraine might drop a level and it might be harder to get back up to it.
Yeah. But it could also be hard for top teams to maintain it for that length of time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because you're talking about these guys being together nearly 5-6 weeks for this whole tournament, you know what I mean? So to maintain that level over that period of time, where normally you're just floating in for a week playing 2 internationals, you know? It could be interesting. Well, lads, anyway, it's been a pleasure having you on. I got abandoned by all my upper tier guys as usual. Lads, tell us about Retrotainment. Tell us about the last month. You just come through a horror month there, and anything, what's coming up?
Yeah, I just finished up the horror month there, and then we have sci-fi coming up for July, the old sci-fi July. So Saturday is the 30th anniversary of Terminator 2, not in Ireland, because obviously
we don't get stuff on time.
That was back in the early 90s, so we didn't get anything until 7 or 8 months later. But its actual release date in the US is 30 years on from exactly on Saturday, which is when we release. So we'll be releasing Terminator 1 with Carl from King Woe's Court and from On the Slab, and then Terminator 2 we're doing with Ian from Dynamo's Dozen, the Upper Tier, On the Slab, for Podmen, Chelsea Roar, is there Flaming Puck? Is there anything else I need to knock out there? Creeping Southpaw, the whole lot of them, everything you can get his bloody hands into. So we're doing one with each of the boys, and then that'll kick us off for Sci-Fi July anyway.
Look forward to them. They're two of my favourites in my catalogue. I love all the
And
are you Terminator 1 or 2?
I'll probably have to go with 2.
My man.
Because at that time I was a big Guns N' Roses fan as well, and I just love all that stuff as well,
that's what I was gonna say. That's the big bit, isn't it? The Guns N' Roses song player, and as they're driving around.
I mean, it's hard to pick one over the other because they're from 2 different time frames as well. It's like when people ask you, do you like Aliens or Aliens 2 as well? Like, what I mean?
One is more of a horror than the other one is.
Yeah, it's unfair.
which is the same here. Yeah,
absolutely. But lads, pleasure having you on. Thanks for jumping on.
No worries.
As I said, this would have been a very lonely podcast without you two boys. Upper tier boys, take note. Retrotainment saved us tonight. As always,
Viva's empty here, lads. Just so you know.
Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube for the shows, also for Retrotainment, who we're on tonight as always. Audio version show available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple iTunes, all that kind of good stuff. And if you want to hit us up, drop some comments here with your thoughts for the quarterfinals, and also hit us up. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at _upper_tier. Gentlemen, a pleasure. Great to have you on.
All the best.